Honorable Men Discord, the declaration request by Sudishka Kanaki's parents. Let's talk about it. So, a lot's been going on with this investigation that's taking place in the Dominican Republic in regard to missing Pittsburgh student Sudishka Kanaki. It's a very unfortunate ordeal, particularly for the parents, obviously for friends and people that know her, classmates. But for the parents, I could only imagine how gut wrenching this is to have to hear about it on the news, see images on the news. You know, at one point they were asking the news to stop playing the video of her walking out to the beach, which was pretty much having to watch the last moments of your daughter's life, potentially. They had asked news to not play it, but from doing this, from covering many episodes, this is the fourth time I'm covering this. I know very good and well that they're still showing it. They're still showing it. And not only are they showing that, but they just also released footage of her at the bar. I guess this is pretty much, I want to say, the start to the maybe end. Hopefully it's not the end, but you know what I mean. She was drinking, and then once we get to the photo of them walking to the beach, you could tell that they're all a little tipsy, because there was a little bit of swaying in her steps while she was walking. But this is just a ongoing, again, gut-wrenching situation, because I don't know what to think. Joshua, was there foul play? Anything's possible. Anything's possible. At this point, at this juncture, I can't say whether or not I think he's guilty. I really can't. I really don't know. This stuff, they've been spoon feeding us information. I just know I have plenty of questions for myself that I wish were answered. I wish I would hear something from any one of the friends that traveled with her. I would definitely like to hear from all those that walked with her out to the beach. I would just like to know, what was the conversation that was had when you guys said, I'm ready to take it back into the hotel, right? I believe the two girls walked back first, and then his friend, which was a guy and another girl, they walked back after. I'd like to know what their conversation was when they left them at the beach. I'd like to know when they left them at the beach. I'm talking about his friend with the other girl. I'd like to know, okay, what did you say to them? Did you say, hey, we're getting tired? I'd like to know, where were they positioned on the beach when those last two left them? I would like to know the positioning period. When you guys all walked out to the beach, what did that look like? What was the positioning like? Were you all by the chairs? Were you spread out to give each other privacy? I'd like to know more detail. It's like, this is basically 2 weeks now, and we're being spoon fed. And I don't know if that's a Dominican Republic thing, as far as with the authorities and how they choose to disclose information, but I'm curious. The thing that I find odd, I understand it, this whole declaration request by the parents. They just want closure. If I'm not mistaken, the parents have already left the Dominican Republic. They're already back home. But I just don't understand why they just want to just close this out. Because I was thinking about it, and God forbid, well, not God forbid, actually, we would want the outcome to be that she's still alive. What if she's still alive somewhere? Imagine her coming out of this or whatever is going on, and she's like thinking to herself, really, parents, you guys put a declaration to just request that the authorities just basically just deem that I'm gone, I'm dead. I just find it to be, I don't know. But I see the pain in the mother from the news report, so I get it. But whether or not the Dominican Republic authorities are going to actually honor the request is another thing. We really don't know how they operate. But let's get into this news report that I have queued up.
Begin at 4 with the Fox 5 News Alert. Several fast-moving developments in the case of missing Loudoun County student Sudishka Kananki.
A key witness in the missing person investigation, Joshua Reeb, appearing in court as he works to get his passport back and return to the U.S. This all comes as we are now hearing from Kananki's parents.
One other thing I forgot to mention, also within this this letter, I believe they're asking authorities to allow Joshua to leave because the parents are looking at it like he's been nothing but cooperative since, well, actually before they landed in the Dominican Republic and when they got there, you know, he was cooperative with them also. But I don't know. It just shows the type of, I guess, grace that family has. You know, they're not looking, they don't have enough energy to, I guess, harbor any type of ill feelings towards Joshua at this time. They just look at it like, you know, the bigger picture is that their daughter is gone. So I guess I could somewhat understand, but me personally, as a parent, there is no declaration. I need to have closure, and the closure is going to be a body found. All right. And if that can't be done, then I'll allow the investigation to end on its own, but I'm not going to try to speed it up and end it. That's just me. But let's continue.
First time, they're now asking authorities in the Dominican Republic to declare her dead.
Fox 5's David Kaplan live at the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office with the latest for us on this case. David, what do we know?
Yeah, good evening to you. As you just heard from some of that sound in the headlines, an absolutely devastating few days for Sudishka Kananki's family. Their heartbreak is absolutely evident. They say she is 20 years old. She is pre-med at the University of Pittsburgh, was smart, was loved, and they are devastated. Today, in front of their Loudoun County home, her father, Subrayudu, and her mother, Sridevi, thanked media outlets and people who responsibly spread the word about the search for their daughter, believing that led to a more thorough investigation in the Dominican Republic. But ultimately, these parents say they felt the version of events that investigators have honed in on, that the ocean pulled Sudishka in and she drowned, is, in fact, what they believe happened.
We were going through too much pain all these days, and we were saddened, and we were not able to believe this.
The last man with Kananki, Joshua Reeb, has never been called a suspect, and this has never been called a criminal case. Rather, he was called a person of interest in a missing persons case. In a letter sent to Dominican authorities yesterday, Kananki's parents say they do not believe there was foul play. Now, Reeb's passport was seized by authorities as they conducted their investigation, which the Kananki family says he cooperated with. He petitioned to get it back, and that's the subject of an ongoing hearing as we're talking right now. Some notes from there. Reeb testified that police have been by his side during the entire investigation, that he wants to go back home. Reeb also testified that Kananki's parents hugged him before they left and came back to Loudoun County. He says they thanked him for trying to save their daughter. Kananki's family reiterating their faith in the investigation, saying they want to begin the grieving process.
As per authorities, right, we have not, they are saying that the waves were, as per their investigations, we believe 100% in the authorities' investigation. The conditions and the waves, the ocean.
The Loudoun County Sheriff's Office also out with a statement today saying they will support the Kananki family in any way they can, adding that they are continuing, though, to review some of the evidence they came across during their investigation.
David, your heart just aches for this family. I mean, the anguish, the pain, the not knowing. Do we know, in fact, if Dominican authorities will declare Kananki dead, even though she hasn't been found?
Yeah, that's a really big unknown tonight. But what is clear is that if they did, it would sort of break a norm. Usually places wait for months if nobody turns up, as opposed to just 12 days before declaring someone deceased. So that's certainly a development that we'll continue keeping our eye on. I can tell you, though, that I did speak with 3 separate experts in missing persons investigations who say it is also incredibly rare for a family to make a request like this, let alone 12 days after the person went missing.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just pull up the declaration. So here's the declaration if you haven't seen it. And it's addressed to the officer in charge over in the Dominican Republic, Jose del C. Ramirez de la Rosa, right? And basically, we, the parents of Sudiska Kanaki, respectfully request a legal declaration of death for our beloved daughter, Sudiska, a 20-year-old student at the University of Pittsburgh, tragically went missing on March 6, 2025 during a spring break trip to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Following an extensive search, Dominican authorities have concluded that Sudiska is believed to have drowned. Her clothes were discovered on a beach near where she was last seen. The individual last seen with her is cooperating with the investigation, and no evidence of foul play has been found. Given these circumstances, and after much deliberation, we request that the police department proceed with the legal declaration of her death. We understand that certain legal procedures must be followed and are prepared to comply with any necessary formalities or documentation. Initiating this process will allow our family to begin the grieving process and address matters related to her absence. While no declaration can truly ease our grief, we trust that this step will bring some closure and enable us to honor her memory. We appreciate your attention to this deeply painful matter and are grateful for your support. Should you require any further information or documentation, please contact us. So that was a statement right there from the parents. Again, they must have serious pain. I mean, I could only imagine. But here is a shot from courtesy of New York Post of when Joshua was at the court earlier on Tuesday. And I believe this is where he was trying to, well, at least his attorney was trying to see if they could get his passport back. But take a look at this. So that was a glimpse of the atmosphere at the court on Tuesday. I mean, all I could say to this is that I just don't understand. It's been 2 weeks. Haven't heard anything from, again, those that she traveled with. I don't know if the lawyer probably advised everyone to stay silent, but haven't heard not one thing from not even one friend that traveled with her. Even if the person didn't have anything to say, even a video of maybe friends, gathered around in a circle crying. No images of who traveled, but I guess maybe for their privacy and for their grieving. I could only assume that. Even from Joshua's side, again, someone from out of that group that walked to the beach, no one's saying anything. No one's vouching for him. Aside from his family and the community back home for him, they're vouching for him. But people that were on scene, no one, no witnesses, no one, not even the bartender from the Rio, no one has anything to say. Maybe the Rio is telling their staff to stay out of it, to allow the investigation to take its course. But it's just very odd. You're not hearing anything. They haven't even released him actually speaking. At most, I want to say a day or two ago, they showed a photo of him being interviewed. No audio, nothing. Just being spoon-fed, So if I'm confused and frustrated by being spoon-fed the information. I can only imagine what the parents must feel like. Excuse me. Very unfortunate, but at the end of the day, I, like her parents and many of you watching, would prefer an outcome where maybe she's abducted, you know. And I'm not saying that's good, you know, that she would be abducted and hurt, possibly hurt or anything like that, but anything's better than her not turning up at all or her being deceased, you know. But that's my take on it for now. This is an ongoing situation, obviously, so I'm just continuing to stay close to it and see what the end result is. But appreciate everyone for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.